they're terrified. Doris is terrified at the top of the page 43, top of the list. Doris is terrified, says, "Go off for the weekend? Why not?" And she says that it is me who needs the change desperately because you people have been enjoying yourselves for quite some time and right from the beginning. So I need to change. I might go off for the weekend. And she says that I am the one, I am your mother, so I need not tell you who I should go with and where I should go. The only difference is that I'm a lot older and better able to look after myself. So it is you who should do the asking from me. Did you fall or hit yourself with something? Again, they're worried about their mother and they say, have you hurt yourself, mother? Have you fallen somewhere? Have you hit yourself? Because we feel that you are, acting in a very strange manner. And very coldly, she says, "No, but I'll hit you with something, girl, if you don't stop asking silly questions. If you will keep on asking such stupid questions from me, then definitely I'm going to hit you with something." Doris stares at her open mouth, ready to cry again. So she is quite aghast at and terrified and shocked at the behavior of her mother, and she's about to cry again. "Oh, this is awful." She begins to cry, not passionately, and very coldly, very insensitively. The mother responds, "Stop blubbering." What is blubbering? What do you understand by blubbering? Yes, blubbering is to cry noisily, non-stop, just like a small kid. And she says, "Stop blubbering. You're not a baby. If you're old enough to go out with Charlie's friends, then you're old enough to behave properly, to act in a mature manner." This is what she says. "Stop crying, stop wailing, just stop it." George Pearson is the husband now, father of Doris and Cyril. He enters left. He's about 50, fundamentally decent but solemn, very serious kind of a person. Self-important, pompous. Now, pompous is self-important but in a foolish way. And he notices, the moment he enters, he notices Doris's tears. "Hello, what's this? Can't be anything to cry about." So he's worried. Why his daughter is crying? So he just questions what is there to cry about. And Doris, through her sobs only, she's sobbing, she's crying, and she just responds, "You will see." Doris runs out left with a sob or two on the way. George stares her after a moment, then looks at Mrs. Pearson because he wants that his wife should tell him why his daughter is crying. "Did she say you will see?" "Yes." "What did she mean?" "Better ask her." George looks slowly again at the door, then at Mrs. Pearson. Then he notices the stout. First of all, he's astonished, he's surprised at the behavior of his wife, his child, and then he notices that bottle of hard drink that Mrs. Pearson raises for another sip, and his eyes almost bulge out. Eyes bulging out means just swell outwards out of shock. "Stout?" "Yes." He's amazed and says, "What are you drinking stout for?" "Because I fancied some." Because I fancied something, I wanted some, I wanted to have it, so I'm having it. "At this time of day?" "Yes." "What's wrong with it at this time of day?" George is bewildered. What is bewildered? Batao? What is bewildered? What is bewildered, bache? Very simple word. What is bewildered? Yes, he's shocked and he says, Nothing, I suppose, any, but I've never seen you do it before. I've never seen you having, stout at the middle of the day in the afternoon." "Well, you're seeing me now." With heavy disdain, he doesn't like it and he says, "Yes, and I don't like it. It doesn't look right. I'm surprised at you. Look at the kind of, example you're putting in front of your children. You're having hard drink right in front of them in the middle of the afternoon. So I'm shocked. I'm actually surprised at you and I don't like it." "Well, that ought to be a nice change for you." "What do you mean?" "It must be some time since you were surprised at me, George. I don't like surprises. I'm all for steady going on. I'm the kind of a person who doesn't like many changes in my life. You ought to know that by this time. We've been married for quite some years now, and you should have known this, that I don't like changes, especially these kind of changes. By the way, I just forgot to tell you this morning, I wouldn't want any tea. Special snooker match night at the club tonight and a bit of supper going, so no tea. I just forgot to tell you in the morning that I would not be having tea now, and I also would not be having dinner because I'm going to have my snooker match at the club and I'll have dinner there only." "That's all right. There isn't anything. That's okay. That's quite perfectly fine with me because I've not made tea for you." He's astonished and he says, "You mean you didn't get any ready?" Yes, and a good thing as it's turned out. Yes, it's a good thing that I didn't prepare tea because otherwise it would have gone waste because you didn't need it. He's aggrieved, he's distressed, and he says, "That's all very well, Annie, but suppose I'd wanted some. If I'd wanted some tea then, and you hadn't prepared it. My goodness, listen to the man, annoyed because I don't get a tea for him that he doesn't even want. Says, just look at this man, look at your father, the way he's behaving. Now she's addressing her children, and she's saying this. Look at your father, the kind of mannerism, the kind of behavior he's having. I haven't made tea for him, and he's annoyed at me because I haven't made it I haven't made it for him, and he doesn't even want to have it. So why should I prepare it? And it's good that I have not prepared it for him. Otherwise, it would have gone totally waste. And he's annoyed because I don't get a tea for him that he doesn't even want. Ever tried that at the club? Have you ever tried this kind of a behavior at the club? Mr. George Pearson tried what at the club? Going up to the bar and telling them you don't want a glass of beer, but you're annoyed because they haven't already poured it out. So she's explaining it in a very funny and a very sarcastic manner, and she says, "Have you ever been to the club? Have you ever asked the bartender that he's annoyed at him because he hasn't poured beer in his glass, but he doesn't want it? Okay, he doesn't want it, but he's annoyed because the bartender hasn't poured it in his glass. Try that on them and see what you get. Just for once in your lifetime, try this out with the bartender at the club and see how they would how they would just laugh their hearts out at you. I don't know what you're talking about. They would just laugh at you even more than they do now. Just look what she's saying. She's saying they laugh at you. You're a laughing stock for them. And if you will say such a thing to them, they're going to laugh even more at you. George says, "Laugh at me? They don't laugh at me. Of course they do. You ought to have found out by this time. Anybody else would have done. You are one of their standing jokes. Famous. You're a famous, they just laugh at your back. They call you Pompey Pearson because they think that you are very slow and you are very pompous. He's horrified, he's shocked, and he says, "Never. It's always beaten me. Why you should want to spend so much time? It's always beaten me means I fail to understand. I never understand this, that why you should want to spend so much time at a place where they're always laughing at you behind your back and calling you names. They've, you know, they've kept your nickname. They've given you names like Pompey Pearson, and they laugh at you, leaving your wife at home night after night instead of going out with her who doesn't make you look like a fool. They make you look like a fool, they laugh at your back, you are one of their standing jokes, but still you prefer to have their company instead of mine. Okay, you leave me behind, you don't take me along with you, you don't take me out, but you prefer to spend your time with them." Cyril enters right with a glass of milk in one hand and a thick slice of cake in the other. George, almost dazed, he's about to faint, and he just turns to him appealingly. Turning to him appealingly means for support, as if he would say that no, 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 mother, you're saying it all wrong. They don't call father Pompey Pearson or anything like that. Here, Cyril, you've been with me to the club once or twice. They don't laugh at me and call me Pompey, do they? Cyril is embarrassed and he's reluctant to say something. Angrily says, "Go on, tell me, do they?" And he's embarrassed and very reluctantly, very hesitatingly, he says, "Well, yes, Dad, I'm afraid they do. I'm sorry to say that, but I have to admit that your friends, your so called friends at the club, do address you by this name, do call you Pompey Pearson." Now George slowly looks from one to the other and he's staggered. Notice what is staggering means he's about to falter. He gives way in the argument. He doesn't know what to say now. He's totally defeated. And George he just exits. He says, "I'll be damned." I'll be damned means he's just an expression of total surprise, okay, and shock. And he says, "I'll be damned," and he just exits. He moves away from there slowly, almost as if somebody had hit him over the head. Cyril, after watching him go, turns indignantly to Mrs. Pearson. He's very angry at his mother and he immediately turns over to her and says, "Now, Mom, you shouldn't have told him that. That's not fair. That's very bad. You've told father such a thing that you shouldn't have told. You have hurt his feelings and you have hurt my feelings also. And Mrs. Pearson very calmly responds, sometimes it does people good to have their feelings hurt. The truth ought not to hurt anybody for long. The truth should not hurt people for long. It must come out, and people should realize what the others are saying behind their backs. If your father didn't go to the club so often, perhaps they would stop laughing at her. It is your father's fault because he spends too much of time at the club that he has made himself a laughing stock for the other. And if he would not go there much often, then maybe one day they would stop laughing at him. Gloomily, he says, sadly, he says, I doubt it, mother. I think you shouldn't have done that. And severely, Mrs. Pearson, very strictly, she says, possibly you do. But what I doubt is whether your opinion's worth having. Whatever you say, I don't think that we need your opinion because I think that your opinion is not even worth having. What do you know? Nothing. You spend too much time yourself and a lot of your money also at greyhound races, at dog races and dirt tracks and ice shows. You're just wasting your money or wasting your time. So why would we have your opinion? What experience do you have? You're having no experience and you know nothing. Very sulkily, he says, very angrily, he doesn't smile at all. And he says, well, what if I do? Even if I spend my money on these things, I need to enjoy themselves. I need to enjoy myself. I've got to enjoy myself somehow, haven't I? I wouldn't mind so much if you were really enjoying yourself. But are you? And where is it getting you? ये तुम्हें कहाँ लेके जा रही है लाइफ में? There is a sharp, hurried knocking heard of it. Might be for me, I'll see. Cyril just wants to go away from there and says, मेरे लिए कोई होगा मैं जाके देखता हूँ. He hurries out left. In a moment he re-enters, closing the door behind him. It's that silly old bag. Whom is he referring to now? To Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald is there. And he says, you don't want her here, do you? आप नहीं चाहती ना उनसे मिलना मैं उनको बोल दूं कि आप नहीं हो या कुछ भी sharply says certainly I do ask her in and don't call her a silly old bag either. She's a very nice woman because Mrs. Pearson here has the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald. So Sarah is referring to Miss Fitzgerald as a silly old bag. So she doesn't naturally she doesn't like it, and she says she's a very nice woman with a lot more sense than you will ever have. Just ask her to come in and have some manners. Don't address her. Don't call her by that name. He just exits, and Mrs. Pearson just finishes out smacking her lips. Cyril re-enters left, ushering in Mrs. Fitzgerald, who hesitates in the doorway. Mrs. Fitzgerald is the same person who has the personality of Mrs. Pearson, a very, subdued, a submissive, a meek kind of a person, very terrified, afraid to say anything in front of even her own family members. So she's standing at the doorway, but she's hesitating to enter in. Come in, Mrs. Fitzgerald, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I just wondered if everything's all right. No, it isn't. Of course it is. You be quiet. Why should I be quiet? Because I tell you to, you silly, spoiled, young pecan. So she calls her own son as silly, spoiled brat, and a clumsy, stupid kind of a person, a young pecan. He protests nervously, oh, no, 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 surely don't say such things. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald, just let me manage my family in my own way, please. Let me handle my family the way I want to. Yes, but Cyril, very, he's become very sulky and he's glowering and he says, Mr. Cyril Pearson, to you, please. Very angrily, he shouts and says, for you, Mrs. Fitzgerald, I am not Cyril. You cannot address me by my first name. You have to address me properly. For you, I am Mr. Cyril Pearson. Okay, so he just stalks off in a very angry manner. He moves into the kitchen. Mrs. Fitzgerald, oh dear, what's happening? Nothing much, just putting them in their places, that's all. Doing what you what you ought to have done long since. You should have done it long back. I'm just putting them at their right places. Is George home? She sits beside Mrs. Pearson on the settee. Yes, I've been telling him what they think of him at the club. Well, they think a lot of him. Don't they? No, they don't. And now he knows it. That this is what she says. Now she discloses in front of the original Mrs. Pearson that she has told her husband what the club people think about him, about that Pompey Pearson thing. Oh dear, I wish you hadn't, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Nonsense. Doing them all a world of good, and they'll be eating out of your hand soon, you will see. I don't think I want them eating out of my hand. Impatiently. Well, whatever you want, they'll be doing it. See, I'm just making things right for you. This is what Mrs. Pearson, in the personality of having the personality of Mrs. Fitzgerald, says. What I'm doing is only for you. So they would be following your orders. Be patient, all three of them. Mark my words, Mrs. Pearson. George enters quite glumly. He's feeling very dejected, very sad, he's very gloomy. He is unpleasantly surprised when he sees the visitor. When he had gone away to the kitchen, there was nobody except for the family members. Now he's surprised, and he's not happy with the visitor because there's some kind of, the matter that is going on, the matter that they're discussing among the family members, he feels that it should not be disclosed in front of the outsiders. He moves to the armchair left. He sits down heavily and glumly, very sadly. He lights his pipe. Then he looks from Mrs. Pearson to Mrs. Fitzgerald, who is regarding him anxiously. Just looked in for a moment, I suppose, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Yes, I suppose so, George. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald is actually having the personality of Mrs. Pearson. So, she has been used to addressing her husband as George. So that comes out of her mouth instantly. And he says, I suppose so, George. And he's shocked and he says, George? Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. What does it matter? Your name is George, isn't it? Mrs. Pearson, the original Mrs. Fitzgerald says, isn't it your name is George? Who do you think you are? क्या समझते हो तुम अपने आप को? Are you Duke of are you Duke of Edinburgh or something? Who are you? So very angrily he says, what's he got to do with it? Just tell me that. किसकी बात कर रहे हो तुम? Why are you comparing me with a duke of some place or something? उसका क्या लेना देना इस सारी बात से? And isn't it bad enough without her calling me George? पहले ही हमारे घर में इतना बुरा चल रहा है सारा कुछ. अब इसी की कमी रह गई थी कि एक थर्ड पर्सन, एक नेबर हमारे घर में आती है, वो मुझे जॉर्ज कह के बुला रही है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, आई हैव हैड नो टी. Then you told me about that Pompey Pearson thing. Then poor Doris has been crying her eyes out upstairs. Yes, crying her eyes out. And to top it all, my neighbor comes in into my house and she addresses me by the name George. And you're taking her side and you're just reprimanding me for no fault of mine, Mrs. Pearson. Mrs. Fitzgerald, oh dear, I ought to have known. Now George is annoyed at her and says, you ought to have known? Why ought you to have known? आप क्या क्या लेना देना? आपको क्यों पता होना चाहिए था? Nothing to do with you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, we are at sixes at sevens here just now. What do you understand by sixes at sevens? This is an idiom. What does it mean? We are at sixes at sevens here. What does he mean by this? We are at sixes and sevens. क्या मतलब है बच्चे इसका? We are at sixes and sevens. क्या? Yes, we're fighting. Everything is messed up here. Everything is jumbled here. We are with in state of confusion. We are in total disagreement here, and this is a family matter. And so perhaps I want you to go away from here. Perhaps you will excuse us. Before Mrs. Fitzgerald can reply, I won't excuse you, George Pearson. Next time, says, I'm not going to excuse you. You need to learn how to behave in front of my friends. Next time, a friend and neighbor comes to see me, just say something when you see her. Like if you happen to meet my friend or something, just say good evening and how do you do or something like that. And just don't march in and sit down without a word. This is not proper etiquette. These are bad manners. You don't even know how to behave in front of neighbors and my friends. Nervously, no, 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 it's all right, Mrs. Fitzgerald says. No, it isn't all right. We'll have some decent manners in this house, or I will know the reason why. And she glares, she looks very harshly at her husband. Well, and he's intimidated. He's as it is, he's fear struck. But what dara hua? He says, well, what? And she just taunts him and says, why don't you just get off to your club? Special night tonight, isn't it? She taunts him and says, there's a special night for you. Just go on and make yourself a laughing stock in front of the people. They'll be waiting for you, wanting to have a good laugh. Just go on then. Don't disappoint them. Bitterly says, that's right. Make me look silly in front of her now. Go on, don't mind me. कहता है, तुम क्या चाह रही हो? पहले तुमने तमाशा अपने बच्चों के सामने मेरा बनाया है. अब अपनी फ्रेंड के सामने मेरा मजाक बना रही हो. Just go on, carry on. Sixes and sevens, poor Doris been crying her eyes out, getting the neighbors in to see the fun. Now suddenly he loses his temper and he glares at Mrs. Pearson and he shouts, "All right, let her hear it. What's the matter with you? Have you gone balmy or what? What is balmy? What problem kya hai? Have you gone balmy? What is balmy? Have you gone balmy? What is balmy?" He's totally bewildered. He doesn't know, what his wife is doing. So he is, accusing his wife of creating a scene in front of the neighbor. Have you lost your mind? This is what yes, very right. Have you turned mad? Have you lost your mind? And have you gone mommy? And she says, she just jumps up savagely, very roughly. She jumps up and says, "If you shout at me again like that, George Pearson, I'm going to slap your big, fat, silly face." Oh, no, 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 please, Mrs. Fitzgerald, the original Mrs. Pearson now feels the things are getting out of her hand and she doesn't know how she would, control all this. So she, she just pleads in front of the original Mrs. Fitzgerald, and she says that please don't do it. And George stares at her and he's again surprised and he says, either I am off my chump, either I have turned mad, I'm behaving in a foolish manner, or you two are. Mrs. Fitzgerald, look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald. ठीक है, वो मिसेस फिtzgerald बोली, नो 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 मिसेस फिtzgerald, उसके मुंह से एकदम से यही निकला। ठीक है, जो इससे पहले वाला डायलॉग है उसको एक बार दोबारा से पढ़ो। ओ नो नो प्लीज मिसेस फिtzgerald, उसने क्या बोलना था, प्लीज मिसेस पियर्सन। ठीक है, पर उसके मुंह से एकदम से यही निकला क्योंकि वो ओरिजिनल मिसेस पियर्सन है। ठीक है, उसके मुंह से एकदम से मिसेस फिtzgerald निकला। तो जॉर्ज कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड दैट, वो कहते हैं सुनो, या तो मैं, मेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया है, या तुम दोनों का, इधर यू टू हैव लॉस्ट योर माइंड और आई हैव। And he says, look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald, so why are you telling yourself to stop when you are not doing anything? तुम तो कुछ कर ही नहीं रही हो, तुम अपने आप को किस चीज से रोक रही हो और अपने आप को क्या करने से रोक रही हो? टेल हर टू स्टॉप। अगर किसी को रोकना है यहाँ पे, तो किसको रोकना है? मेरी वाइफ को रोको। Then there would be some sense in it. And then he stares at his wife and says, I think you must be tiddly. You must be tiddly means, I think you're slightly drunk. That is why you're behaving like that. And she just starts up again savagely. Say that again, George Pearson, क्योंकि एक बार दोबारा बोलो, मैं थप्पड़ लगा देना है तुम्हें। And he's intimidated, he's terrified, he's fear struck. He says, all right, all right, just leave it. Doris enters left slowly, looking miserable. She's still wearing the wrap. Mrs. Pearson sits on the settee. Hello, Doris, dear. Hello, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I thought you were going out with Charlie Spence tonight. Mrs. Fitzgerald? एक्चुअली शी इज मिसेस पियर्सन, तो वो अपनी डॉटर से ही पूछ रही है कि मुझे तो लगा तुम जा रही थी चार्ली स्पेंस के साथ, तुम तो तैयार ही नहीं हुई है। बट डॉरिस डजंट नो that this person is her mother, so she's annoyed. What's that to do with you? आपका क्या लेना देना? ठीक है, मैं चार्ली स्पेंस के साथ जाऊं, किसके साथ जाऊं? You are a neighbor. What have you to do with it? Stop that. No, it's all right. It isn't all right. I won't have a daughter of mine talking to anybody like that. मैं अपनी बेटी को ऐसे किसी के साथ बात करते हुए बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकती. Now answer Mrs. Fitzgerald properly, Doris, or go upstairs. या तो ऊपर चले जाओ, नहीं तो ढंग से जवाब दो. And Doris looks wonderingly at her father. George says, don't look at me. मेरी तरफ मत देखो, because I've already given it up. I just give it up. Well, answer her. I was going out with, so she's, she's afraid also, because she also doesn't even know, what has happened to her mother. So, very sulkily she says, I was going out with Charlie Spence tonight, but now I've called it off. जो इतना सारा कुछ हो गया है, अब मुझे लगता नहीं मेरे में हिम्मत है to go out with Charlie Spence. Oh, what a pity, dear. But why have you? Because, अब उसको गुस्सा आ गया, कहते because if you must know, आप जानना चाहती हो ना, अपने नेबर को बोल दिया, my mother's been going on at me making me feel miserable. मेरी मदर मुझे बहुत ही बुरा फील करवा रही है आज दोपहर से, and saying that he's got buck teeth and he's half-witted. She's making fun of him and she's saying that he's not humorous. Then he's got buck teeth. Buck teeth means teeth like an animal, teeth which are not properly aligned. Okay, rather bolder. Mrs. Fitzgerald says, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that." अब वो कहती है ऐसा तो नहीं कहना चाहिए था. Sharply, Mrs. Fitzgerald, I'll manage my family. You manage yours. वो कहती है अभी सारा खत्म मत करो, सत्यानाश मत करो. हाँ जी बोलो, बोलो इशिता. What is the meaning of half-witted? Means somebody who is not intelligent enough, somebody who is not humorous enough, that is half-witted. Okay, wit is intelligence plus humor. Okay, so half-witted means somebody who is dumb. What it, Ishita? आ गया समझ? So, so this is my Mrs. Fitzgerald. I'll manage my family. You manage yours. अपनी family का तुम ध्यान रखो. मैं अपनी family का रख रही हूँ. So George says, taking her off now. Are you any? Now you're making her angry now. Are you doing it? Even more grimly, even more, seriously, she says, they are waiting for you at the club, George. कहती है, तुम जाओ, तुम मत इस बीच में पढ़ो. Don't forget and don't you start crying again, Doris. कहती डोरिस को बोलती तुम रोना मत शुरू करो, अपना रोना धोना बंद करो और तुम तो अपने क्लब जाओ. ठीक है? मिसेस फिtzgerald गेटिंग अप. दैट्स इनफ, क्वाइट इनफ. वो कहती बहुत हो गया. Doris and George stare at her bewildered. No, they're shocked and they're surprised कि Mrs. Fitzgerald क्यों इतना mind कर रही है? She's just a neighbor. Oh, so they're shocked, they're surprised. Okay. So should we stop here or should we just finish off with this play? There's just 2.5 pages left. You want me to just stop here because it's almost one, and I think some of the science students must be having their class. Should I stop it or should I just finish off with the play? Okay, you want to do it tomorrow. So we'll continue. Just put a mark here. There's just 2.5 pages are left. We'll complete this chapter and discuss the question answers as well tomorrow. Okay. So let me take your attendance then.